and it's practically alive. It is all difficulties or any kind of obstacles. He never stopped it. He has been teaching them. He is inspiring so many ISKCON followers into Varnashrama system, and he has arranged the Varnashrama college programs and so many things like so temples have been established. So many of Maharaj disciples are engaged in reaching her. So we welcome Maharaj to ISKCON Attapur on this auspicious day. Actually auspicious day because Maharaj has arrived here. So by chanting loudly once Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for gracing our yatra. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Okay. At least one devotee or two should be playing kartal. Close by, not. Okay. Yes. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanamsari Jamuna Tira Vanamsari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Dhanaballabha Girivaramdhari Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Jamuna Tira Manasari Radha Madhava Kund Bihari Radha Madhava Kund Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe, Radha, Madhava, Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Gaur Premanande, Jain Supada Paramahamsa, Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace, Sirabai Charanaravinda Bhakti Raghava Swami Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, ISKCON Devotee Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki, Namasarya Sri Haridas Thakur ki, Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Tatsurindritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manodhistam Sapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jita Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhitam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakam Sanagaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Haripriye Vansakarta Triyudyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Padidhanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktira Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and a loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Pranam Brahmasamikam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreya Sayalokasya Dhanyam Svasayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Granthara, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama राम राम हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम श्रद्धाय नमः ओम श्रद्धाय नमः ओम श्रद्धाय नमः मुखं करोति वाचालं त्वं लाङ्गयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to Srimad Bhagavatam class and the text. Which number? 26. 23. Okay. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 2, chapter 10, entitled, Yes, Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Text number 23. Vastuno Mridu Katinya Lagu Guru Ushna Shitatam Jirikshatas Tvam Nirbhinna Tasyam Roma Mahi Ruhaha Tatra Chantar Bahir Vatas Tvacha Labdha Guno Vrittaha Vastuno Mridu Katinya Lagu Gorvoshna Sitatam Jirikshatastvam Nirbhinna Tasyam Roma Mahiruhaha Tatra Chantar Bahiravatas Tvacha Labdha Guno Vrittaha Vastuno Mridu Katinya Laghu Gorvoshna Shitatam Jigrit Shatastam Nirbhinna Tasyam Roma Mahiruhaha Tatra Chanta Bahiravatas Tvacha Labdha Guno Vrittaha Vastano Mridu Katinya Nagu Gorvoshna Shitatam Jigrikshatastvan Nirbhinna Tasyam Roma Mahiraha Tatra Chanta Bahiravatas Tvacha Labdha Guno Vrittaha
Vastuno Mridu Katinya Lagu Gorvoshna Shitata Jigrikshatastvan Nirbhinna Tasyam Roma Mahiruha Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas वस्तुनो मृदुकाठिन्या निर्भिन्ना तस्यां रोममहीरुहा तत्र चान्तर्बहिर्वातस्
Mataji.
वस्तुनो मृदुकाठिन्या लघु गुरुदोषशीलताम् तस्यां रोममहीरुहा
Vastunaha, of all matter, mridu, softness, katinya, hardness, lagu, lightness, guru, heaviness, usna, warmness, sitatam, coldness, jigrikshataha, desiring to perceive, tuk, the touch sensation, nirbhinna, distributed, tasyam, in the skin, roma, hairs on the body, mahiruhaha, as well as the trees, the controlling deities, tatra, there, cha, also, antaha, within, bahihi, outside, vata tvacha, the sense of touch or the skin, labda, having been perceived, gunaha, objects of sense perception, vrittaha, generated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. When there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, and heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hairs on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception became prominent. Kindly repeat after me. When there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, and heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hairs on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception became prominent. Purport. The physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, are subjects of sense perception, and thus physical knowledge is the subject matter of the touch sensation. One can measure the temperature of matter by touching with the hand, and one can measure the weight of an object by lifting it with the hand, and thus estimate its heaviness or lightness. The skin pores, and the hairs on the body are all interdependent with the touch sensation. The air blowing within and outside the skin is also an object of sense perception. This sense perception is also a source of knowledge. And therefore it is suggested here that physical or physiological knowledge is subordinate to the knowledge of the self, as above mentioned. Knowledge of self, with a capital S, can expand to the knowledge of phenomena, but physical knowledge cannot lead to knowledge of the self. There is, however, an intimate relation between the hairs on the body and the vegetation on the body of the earth. The vegetables are nourishment for the skin, both as food and medicine, as stated in the third canto. Tvacham asya vinir bhinnam vivishur dishnyan oshadhi. Translation again. When there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, and heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hairs on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception became prominent. That's a clock. That's not a clock. What is it?
It's a sound.
Sound?
It's the loudness.
Okay. Where's the clock? Huh? Behind me. How am I supposed to figure out the time? Somebody has to give me their watch. I'll give it back. Thank you. One of those. Okay. Your clock is disappearing all the time. We're wasting valuable time here. So this text is giving us a little insight as to material elements. I mean, the title of this chapter is giving us the clue. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So whether we have material questions or spiritual questions, and we should actually, all the answers are actually in the Bhagavatam. One who is studying biology might find this purport of special interest. There are many sections actually in the Bhagavatam that deal with the anatomy, not only of the body, but the whole material creation, cosmology. There are so many sciences which are part of this cosmic manifestation in which we find ourselves. And as we know, Srila Prabhupada, when giving us the 7 purposes of ISKCON, I'm sure most of you have heard or read about these 7 purposes. In the very first of these 7 purposes, Srila Prabhupada explained how one of the objectives or purposes of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is to systematically present this knowledge, Vedic knowledge, which is contained, of course, especially in literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning, of course, from Bhagavad Gita itself. But the Vedic literatures are vast and contain information, as it is being referred to here, both of a spiritual and material nature. And one point which is being made at the end of the purport is that only by studying material subject matters we cannot come to understand about the higher dimension, means spiritual dimension. One needs to somehow, that is the definition of knowledge as given actually in the 7th chapter, 7.2, is speaking about Jnanam and Vijnanam, referring to material knowledge and spiritual knowledge as well. In other words, a learned person is someone who knows the difference between matter and spirit, the source of both matter and spirit, and what is meant to be the relationship between both of them. So the whole Vedic culture, of course, is meant to bring us to this higher realm of transcendental knowledge, but at the same time, we are not to neglect knowledge of the cosmic manifestation. Although it is described as aparavidya, isn't it? There's paravidya and aparavidya. So there needs to be actually a balance between these two levels, which is in itself actually a major subject matter. Srila Prabhupada, in introducing the Krishna consciousness movement, when the Prabhupada began to introduce the Krishna consciousness movement, not only when he went to the West, isn't it? Srila Prabhupada actually, from the very early days, and we start getting glimpses of that in various writings of Srila Prabhupada. And therefore it's important for all of us who are connected, obviously, with our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, to know what Prabhupada also wrote before going to the Western country. It is important for all of us to understand what was Srila Prabhupada's vision in wanting to introduce and spread ultimately the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, Prabhupada, we know in his books, not only in his books, but in his different instructions, conversations, etc., he gave so many instructions, many important instructions, and it is meant to be the responsibility of every member of the society to more clearly. As a matter of fact, it is one of the instructions given by Narada Muni when he's speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Smritam chat vidam rajam yena chatma prasidati. Narada Muni was requested by Yudhishthira Maharaj to speak on the subject matter of dharma. The subject matter of dharma is meant to be our most important subject matter. And actually in this particular verse that I'm referring to, Narada Muni is explaining that those who are actually devotees, everyone here is a devotee, they are meant to actually focus, they're meant to concentrate, they're meant to remember on a daily basis what is the meaning of dharma and how dharma is meant to be introduced. Dharma mulam hi bhagavan sarva vedamayo harihi smritam chat vidam rajan yena chatma prasidati. This verse is very close, very similar to a more well-known verse from the first canto of the Bhagavatam, Savai pumsam paro dharmo, yato bhakti raghava saje haitukiya prakriyata yayatma suprasidati. So in other words, we have a dual responsibility. Although apara vidya, material knowledge, is inferior, still it is important. And it is therefore included within the Vedic literatures. I mean, it's being described here, some aspect of material nature. And Prabhupada, I just want to come to one particular point. I don't get so often the opportunity. We have so many temples now, not only in India, all over the world. It's like physically impossible for one person to visit all of those temples, even once, probably what to speak of many times. So I'd like to make a point or come to a point which hopefully can be something, it's like when we attend Bhagavatam class, we should try to catch something from what is being told either in the purport, in the text, the purport, or by the speaker. Something should come out that will be relevant, that we can apply in our lives. So Prabhupada actually spoke about 50% of his mission. Some devotees actually still don't know about this. Prabhupada spoke about 50% of his mission yet to be fulfilled. How many have heard about this? How many have not heard about this? Some are undecided, majority. Srila Prabhupada, he naturally as a visionary from the early days when he was in India, and this we can find references in a small yet known book called Gita Nagari. Who has heard about the small essay called Gita Nagari? Gita Nagari essay, not Gita Nagari farm. There's a big difference. So anyways, so just a few. This is in the folio, and I humbly request all the devotees to read and study the content, because in that small essay which appeared, which was published in 1956, in Srila Prabhupada's Bhakti Godhead magazine, Prabhupada makes very important statement, which he actually made even before, in 1949. That's also in the folio. 1949, Srila Prabhupada spoke about essentially the same subject matter that he also refers to in his Bhakti Godhead magazine. Basically, he gave a vision. He presented his vision of how to introduce systematically the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in 4 specific phases. So, of course, Prabhupada, he did that. He finally went, as we know, in 1965 to the Western countries, established the following year ISKCON Society. And what is maybe less known is that Prabhupada had a vision of, maybe we could say in 2 parts, to introduce the whole mission. And most of us, up to now within our society, we are still in the first part. The first part is actually divided into 3. And that first part has to do with distributing books, chanting the holy name, establishing wonderful temples, like you have here in Attapur. I was here when there was only dirt, actually, a few years ago. Anyone was here at that time? Anyways, miracles happened because this was a vacant land, and by Krishna's mercy, this has come up very nicely. So establishing temples is very important, and then developing our congregation. This is all part of the first phase, you could say. The second phase, Prabhupada, he spoke about it. As a matter of fact, he also introduced, which is connected with reviving the Vedic culture in terms of lifestyle. In terms of lifestyle means in terms of what the Vedic culture presents, or what the Vedic culture especially encourages. What is that lifestyle that the Vedic culture especially puts emphasis on is agrarian lifestyle, is village lifestyle. And this is important for our devotees at least to know about, but of course not only to know about, and that's where subject matters may be more of a material nature, which have their place and their importance come in the picture. In other words, if we are serious in wanting to fulfill the mission of our founder Acharya, we need to understand his vision in wanting to introduce that mission. And when Prabhupada speaks about 50% of his mission, he's talking about actually this lifestyle that we don't find actually in our city temples or in cities in general. And of course, I find myself wherever I go having to bring up this topic, although for some devotees it doesn't seem so important or relevant, and even for some devotees they find it totally, unnecessary, which is unfortunate because because number one, it's something that is very much an integral part of our Vedic culture and referred to in so many places. number one. And secondly, because our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, spoke about this quite extensively. And in other words, Prabhupada wanted, I don't know if there's a plan, because I'm not in contact with all of the temples to find out their individual plan, but Srila Prabhupada wanted that every single temple, every city temple, also develop a farm community. Is there a plan for that here? Yes. There is.
We have an 18-acre plan.
What's happening on that 18 acres?
Farming is going on small scale. A small temple.
Small temple is coming up, okay. I'd heard about it, I just wanted to reconfirm. Yeah. See, that was the beginning. Prabhupada wanted that we have every temple, that we have cows that actually can give pure, wholesome, ahimsa milk, not only to our deities, but actually to our devotees. But this was only the beginning. You know, even if tomorrow morning all of our temples have a small piece of land, this was like a stepping stone towards Prabhupada's vision of the Vedic culture where majority of our devotees are living on that land. Of course, majority of our devotees cannot live on 18 acres of land. But the point I'm trying to make is that we need to know, we need to understand that in addition to our preaching in the cities, because we tend to not really know the kind of condition that is prevailing in our villages, not only here in India, but all over the world. We tend to forget how the more we are late in giving attention to this very essential dimension or aspect of Prabhupada's mission, we are in many ways doing a great disservice to that particular instruction given by our founder Acharya. All of us, not only here, let's say in this temple, anyone who's living in a city naturally is depending on food that's coming from the country, isn't it? And of course, even that food that's coming from the country right now is not, generally speaking, in the most ideal condition, because most of the farming is not done as per the Vedic way of farming. It's a very major subject matter that, of course, in a very short time, even if we had a full 1 hour to speak on the subject matter, it is, however, important for all devotees to know that this still, unfortunately, to this day, after 50 years, that instruction was given way back. Actually, Prabhupada, he wanted that every one of our temples, I don't know if there's a plan for doing that, establish a Varnashram college. Any discussions on this? Huh?
We wish to do that.
We wish to do that. Well, that's a good wish. That's a good desire. Yeah. Actually, one of our devotees, I think some of you know him, Venugopal Prabhu, who is a minister, co-minister actually. We're fortunate here in India because India is the only country that has a ministry for Varnashram. And devotees should take advantage of that because in other countries they don't have. So they are at a disadvantage because they don't have somebody they can contact. Here, at least in India, you have somebody you can contact, you have a ministry you can connect with. And he has just formulated recently, sent me a copy, a whole curriculum for Varnashram College. So if you have actual desire, because you can't start something like a college unless you have a, detailed information, basically a curriculum. Srila Prabhupada, the first purposes, the first of the 7 purposes, wanted that we systematically teach and introduce this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, which is meant to be introduced both in terms of the spiritual level and the material level. So there's a book which should always be brought when I come to a temple called Speaking About Varnashram, and it's apparently not too far away. So my humble request is that actually all of these instructions, okay, there's a book table in the back there. This is a very important book. I've mentioned this before, and this book contains basically 100%, it's 100% the most important instructions given by Srila Prabhupada on the subject matter of this 50% of his mission, isn't it? And if some of you have yet to know about, what to speak or read the book, then, I mean, it's high time that every single devotee should have a copy of this book and should be studying. There should be a weekly session to actually study the subject matter. Otherwise, what's happening or what will happen is that we will find ourselves, and it's around the corner, can happen anytime actually, in such a situation. I mean, we got a little glimpse of this during COVID. I think we all remember how COVID affected all of us, all of our temples in major ways, I mean the whole world. And this was meant to be like what they call a signal to a wake-up call, as they say, to understand how we are so much dependent on the system, which is actually very fragile and very artificial as well. The Prabhupada gave so much of importance on this aspect, and there are some devotees who are focusing on this, but I would say not sufficiently. And we don't have sufficient temples who are giving the time that is actually needed for picking up and understanding and introducing some of these important instructions given. In other words, we should have a plan. Every single temple, in addition to having a place, we should be planning to have some of our devotees, some of our grihastas, actually take up what is meant to be the Vedic lifestyle for the vast majority of not only people in general, but our own devotees. It's a very major subject matter which requires much more time, but at least as a reminder. I'm looking at the small sign that is here. I have 5 minutes. If there's any comment or question on either the text that we have read or what we have spoken about, we can take.
You can go ahead.
You can go ahead. No, well, we should try to keep it within the time limit, I mean, because everyone has schedule and whatnot. This book, by the way, is not only available here, it's available in digital form. It's available in digital form, and who has my cell phone? I need my cell phone at this time, yeah. Yes, thank you. So if anyone would like to have this book in digital form, you can get it from here actually, if you have a cell phone, and I think 99% of you sitting here have a cell phone, most people. So you can easily get a copy of this book by taking the link that is here. So, comments or questions? There has to be at least one question or comment.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to Varnashram, actually, what it is not clearly written. understood to many people, including me.
What it is? What
What
is?
is Varnashrama? Like, Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya.
In one or two sentences, right? In one or two sentences. Briefly, what is Varnashrama?
Yeah.
That's what you're asking.
And how we establish in the community, in our community.
Well, it's all here, but very simply and very briefly, it's the fourth phase of what Prabhupada envisioned and spoke about in that essay, Gita Nagari. And it means that actually we're not only supposed to be doing these activities that we have been mainly doing, we are supposed to bring about social changes in society. You see, the whole modern setup of urbanization is falling apart because it's not natural. Prabhupada warned us about this as well. So, what is meant to be more simple, what is meant to be more natural, for the vast majority of not only people, but also devotees, devotee families, not brahmacharis. Brahmacharis should be preaching in the cities, and some householders as well, but the majority of our devotees should be living in the country. You see, Prabhupada, he made the following point: are you still going to be in the city when these cities become no longer functional? We are in the cities primarily, we should try to understand, our only business, our primary business in the cities is to preach, is to introduce Krishna consciousness. And part of that preaching is to have and train devotees who are going to distribute books, etc. But part of that preaching is to prepare families to actually come back to what is meant the Vedic lifestyle, which is in the village. Otherwise, how we will reconnect with Mother Bhumi, the land, how we will reconnect with the cows, which are two of the fundamental gifts of nature without which we cannot properly live. So Prabhupada wanted us not only to be in the cities and develop our congregation and be self-satisfied, he wanted us from these cities, from these city temples, to have the vision that he had, to actually take up the vision that is there in the Vedic culture, to revive Vedic. So Varnashram means living what Krishna has demonstrated. Krishna, Balaram, the residents of Vrindavan, they are showing us what is actually meant to be the standard. So we're not getting this, we're not understanding this, we're not planning in this way. And this is a defect. This is a defect, this goes against the vision, this goes against the instruction given by our founder Acharya. And it is now becoming critical. It was critical 50 years ago when he told us. It was critical 50 years ago when he requested us to establish in every temple a Varnashram college so that we can learn what it actually is. What is Varnashram? Varnashram is not simply some, we all have some understanding, some knowledge, a little bit of what is Varnashram, but what we are missing is actually the main instruction given by Srila Prabhupada that we need to live, we need to revive that culture. Otherwise, our cows are being destroyed and butchered every single day. And we don't even think about it because we're not even seeing cows every day, we're disconnected. Our land is being mutilated, desecrated. The natural gifts of nature, beginning with cows and man, are being desecrated every single moment, and we're oblivious. We are, practically speaking, majority of our devotees are oblivious, means they don't even know about it. Therefore, they're totally insensitive to what is taking place. It means we are not seeing things properly. We're reading the Bhagavatam, it's like, we chant the holy name, but it's those who chant the holy names purely, they're in contact with Krishna. They can see Krishna. So we're reading the Bhagavatam purports about Varnashram, for example, which is all over the place, in so many, in all the cantos, in all the chapters practically, but it's not sinking in. No. Why is it not sinking in? Well, partly because we're lacking proper understanding, we're lacking purity, and most of us, I was asking the question, most of us have not read this book. Most of us have not heard the instructions given by our founder Acharya. That means that when we are lacking, it means we are in ignorance about what Prabhupada has spoken about. And when a founder of an international society like ISKCON tells us that 50% of my mission has yet to be taken up, is yet unfulfilled, it should mean something. It should mean something, especially after 50 years. What are we doing? We're complacent. And that is adharma. That is going against the principles of dharma. To not hear, to not act on such a fundamental instruction given by our founder Acharya, that is Guru Aparat. That falls in the category of Guru Aparat. We have to wake up. Because the time is coming, the whole world situation, we all know, is going from bad to worse, isn't it? And of course, the basis of all of this is the chanting of the holy name, but if we properly chant the holy name, we'll be able to understand, so many important instructions given by all of our acharyas, and in particular by our founder Acharya, who specifically spoke. Prabhupada was about to leave his body. It was 2 weeks before leaving his body. He reminded us that the importance that he spoke about Varnashram. He spoke about Varnashram in the 1940s. He spoke about Varnashram in 1977. And it is a misunderstanding on the part of so many devotees that this is not important. It is most important. Time is not there, but in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, when Grandfather Bhishmadev begins to give instructions to Yudhishthira Maharaj, isn't it? We all know the 9th chapter, the passing away of Bhishmadev. The very first instruction that Grandfather Bhishmadev gives to Yudhishthira Maharaj is, the very first instruction is regarding the importance of establishing Varna and Ashrama society. And Prabhupada, in the very first sentence of that purport, and I paraphrase, he mentions, we can see here how Grandfather Bhishmadev is referring to Varnashrama, which is meant to accelerate. That system of Varnashrama created by Krishna is meant to accelerate our becoming Krishna conscious, meant to accelerate the development of spiritual qualities. In many other places, Prabhupada also mentioned, we think we are Vaishnavas. It is not at all easy to be Vaishnava. And Prabhupada explains, you have to follow, you have to actually practice, you have to work and serve within the system of Varnashrama to actually become Vaishnava. Are we doing that? We're not doing that. Briefly. Anyways. Yes.
For giving the insight. So, generally people have two conceptions. One is they may not be knowing the importance as much. And the second category of devotees, they have this conception that the project may get failure, or project of this Varnashram concept may, because we have experience of having temples from last 50 years. But coming to the this concept, they have this conception of failure. Little afraid of what will happen, it may fail,
Yes, when we are lacking in knowledge and understanding, naturally there will be different questions and different fears, etc. like that. So the idea is that first we need to understand what Srila Prabhupada has written, and when we understand the need and the urgency as well, then we will make, it's like, now we have a major imbalance, especially here in India. Especially here in India, where we are continuing to build big temples and we're totally neglecting, practically, our villages. So, at one point Prabhupada mentions you have to, don't make any more devotees. You look after the devotees you have. Boil down the milk. You've heard that expression. Boil the milk. What's the use of making new devotees and then losing the majority of them? Train the devotees first. Until and unless we catch up with this other dimension aspect, then we should slow down. We should slow down in building just more and more temples, thinking that that's the all in all. If we don't know why we're building these temples, and if we're not having that vision that Prabhupada had to prepare individuals to actually go back to villages, then we are doing a disservice. We're not giving, we're not sharing that vision that Prabhupada had. It's a major, obviously, it's what's the expression? It's a major shift, yeah. It's a major shift that we need to eventually make, but we have been lagging behind. The reality of the situation is that we are continuing to neglect this most important instruction given by our founder, Acharya. We've, somebody put up, yeah, so you don't have to come and get the card. The card is there, so you can just actually, scan, and you'll get a copy not only of this book in digital form, there are other books as well, dealing with the whole subject matter. Obviously, 50% of anything is substantial. So my humble request, devotees, try to get to connect in this way, and connect with the ministry that we have in Srila Mayapur, and get a copy of the Varnashram College curriculum as well. I think we need to close. Thank you all very much. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. There is a book table, nobody mentioned, in the back before you go. Some books are there.